Hello everybody and happy Thursday and welcome to your daily lighting critique. Only one little bit of news, well, two bits of news off the top. One is that your monthly lighting challenge, as you guys probably know, is due on the 31st. So make sure you get those in by midnight, the 31st Eastern Standard Time. You can submit them on Facebook or in the new Discord channel. We are accepting them either way. Speaking of the Discord channel, the other announcement today is that later on today I'll be sending out a survey to ask you guys what you prefer, because we would like to stick to either Facebook or Discord as our main interaction point. And we just want to hear which one you guys are liking better. For those that are testing out Discord, or if anybody has any reservations about one or the other, we just want to hear from you all. So today we're going to go through things alphabetically so you can see the names up at the top, and then we will jump right into with Annabelle. So Annabelle, really cool stuff. The background looks really, it's like, I think this is the Victorian set from it's just like this building looks like the Victorian set from Kit Bash, but like some of the details in there I don't remember seeing, so I don't really know if that's what that is, but it looks really great. The one thing that I would say is that it's odd that the moon is the moon where everything else is kind of like the stylized broken up look. I mean, I can buy that the character is different, but the moon should kind of fit that same I don't even know what to call this effect. It's kind of a like posterized effect. The moon should kind of fall into that a little bit. So I would just make that adjustment there. Secondly, if you look around the set, everything's like nice, soft transition shadows, like from this light coming out to here. You look on the ground here, it's soft transitions here. On the character, we should probably stick to something like that. Like you can see there's a hard shadow here, a harder shadow there. So just increase those light radiuses to soften those up. I love the color and variation you're getting, specifically on the wing. I think this rim looks nice. I think the fall off looks nice. There's a shift between a little bit of coolness and a little bit of warmth. You're picking up just a little bit of the edging to get like some detail in that, because it's so tricky to get that leathery winged bat look. And you're doing it really well. I love the focus on the face. I just think we need to soften that stuff up a little bit. I also love the color palette, because there's usually more focus on getting more warm tones in his skin, but it kind of fits in this environment a little bit. Like I kind of like his purplish hues. The only few notes that I would have is I think that you can get a little bit better rimming up here around his ear. Again, softening that light a little bit. I love look at the foot here. The way it comes shadow, out of shadow, and it just like, how creepy is that we just see those like highlights on the nails. So good. I think it's probably the best that we've seen on that part of his body. So just really, really strong stuff there. And then yeah, and then watch this cast shadow on the ground there as well. But like the way that this shaping in the chest is like textbook in a fill area, right? Because you've got all the light coming in from behind, but like look at the specular highlights that you're able to get out of here and able to get that like rounding off and just more shaping in there. And I didn't even realize that he, like, I guess these are ribs, but he looks like he's ripped. Like it looks like a six-pack. Well done, Sir Desmodus Rotundus. Beautiful stuff. So great job overall. The other thing too, maybe try pushing a little bit more blue into the background too, just to kind of match up to the blues on him. Just a thought there. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff overall. Ashley, so I think this is looking great. If you can go like push the shader on the wood just a touch brighter, just because again, like for that to get that bright, I would expect a little bit more bright, like just catching a little bit more heat from the light on the surface of this guy here. And then same thing with and then the reds on the cups. Let's desaturate those and lift those up a little bit just in the shader value, because it's a little bit bright here in the whites. And that's okay. I can live with that as long as this gets a little bit brighter too. Eyes look a little bit better on the characters. Yeah, I think this is all good. One super stupid thing. Could you kill that green right on the other side of that? It just would help if that stayed behind the pillar there. Her hair looks great. His hair still looks a little bit orange. I love the shaping. Just pull out some of the orange on the hair, but really great stuff overall. Forrest. The story that you're telling, like, you're really great at telling stories with your scenes. Like, just seeing this amount of the girl is a very it's a very smart decision. I think that we need to do more. There's two things that I think we need to do more of. One is getting the character to pop off a little more from the surroundings. Like, do you see the way that like that this pillar back there is getting a little bit of a brighter rim? Maybe toning it down there and getting those values on the character there. Maybe adding a little bit of glow to her, I think would be well. I would go ahead and turn off this warmth in there. That's not really helping us. I like I like the idea of creating some shaping back behind that, but let's just go ahead and neutralize that off. You're getting good fall off into the distance. I do think this area could get a little darker. You know, and that's something else with the character. Maybe we could just add a little more contrast to the character and allow the dark values to really pop off from the surroundings there and do something more like that. Like, this is a little bit extreme, but just to give you an idea. You know, something like that to get her to read off of, and then obviously there'd be a little bit more darkening in this foreground as well. So just kind of that, maybe, you know, something along those lines. I think I would play up a little bit more warmth on the girl. I see what you're doing because she's in this very, very cool environment, but I would almost, I would do two things to her. One, I would warm her up, and then I would darken her back half a little bit, and then or like especially this side, and just read her more as being, you know, something like that. And then just so we could, because we really want to focus on the front half of her body, and like this area connected to this, and we kind of want that area to go and tone down. Really great shaping overall, but just tone that down, because, like, you know, you can see the light coming in this way. We can see the light hitting the rim there. It's coming from the front, and this amount of fill just feels a little bit overly done. So try and warm and take it down. But I love the layout, love the story that you're telling, and it's all really, really great stuff. Yeah, like the glow on the eyes, we could maybe play that up a little stronger from like the reference, and just like this stuff's all great with just like finding circles of light. And I think that you're kind of maybe you're doing that too, but I think we can push that a little more and maybe darken over here as well to kind of really push in that circle. Yeah, good job with the framing. It's all looking great. Great reference. You're really good at finding reference too, so don't underplay that. Yeah, Jeff, this is very cool. I like the God rays we're getting out of here. I think that's a lot of fun. This glow is looking really nice. Changing her body shape to reach to him is really good. I would play up the rim a little bit stronger there, because that's like an important action, and maybe play up the rim on their hair just to really get those two things to read a little bit. You can also add a little edge softness, like a 2-pixel edge softness to Rick here. I think that would play up really well. And this is looking good on the headlights there. They're facing down. I would maybe take out a little bit of the contrast on these light rays. You know what? I take that back. Maybe not so much that, but just allow the area right next to the light to be a little bit brighter, and then it starts to break up a little bit. It's just that, like, the fact that it's breaking up right out of the source, it feels like it would be more like stuff floating in the air that would actually start to break it up from there. So just like make it brighter there and then soften that as it goes. And then I would try and get just a touch more. This is tricky. I want to get more variation. What I'm looking at is I want to get more variation back here. So I think it would be a matter of getting like maybe just making these trees just slightly darker to kind of silhouette them up the way that you've got this one. And the way that you've got this one. They don't need to be that extreme, but just something to read them back into that shape would be really good. Jordan, it's looking great. Love the shaping there. I like the shaping there. This is a little bit too, like, these are a little bit too red. I would take down the red in those values. And then this bag is in shadow, but like the fact that like there's a lot of shadow over there, and then it's just a little bit overly illuminated. But all in all, this is looking really, really good. This is feeling really nice. Maybe vignette just that, like maybe that corner and this corner a little bit, just to get a little more variation in shaping there. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all I would do from here, because everything else is looking really great. And maybe just tone down the specular highlights on these two guys, on these two plants too. Maybe these guys too. Just like pulling down the specularity a little bit on their shader would help a lot. All right, Matt. So postage stamps. Yeah, you can totally. Well, you can do a couple things. One is you can hide. Let's see, we got these coming in here. The passes. Yeah, you can hide these. I think somebody suggested it by just hiding the input. And you can also hide the preview. Like, you don't need the thumbnail. And that way it could just be this little box without that line in it. And that will really help you visually clean up the scene. So something I just wanted to mention there. In terms of your shot itself, it's looking good. A couple things like this is kind of cool the way the refraction's working on that. But I think that you can soften up the why am I blanking on the name? The light that's being refracted off of the disco ball. I think you can soften those a little bit. They're a little bit like a little perfect sharpness, and you can see that especially in the extra reflections, because so these are light bouncing off of this, hitting there, and then it's being refracted through that. At some point, there's going to be some softening of that a little bit, so it would not quite be that sharp on her. It also feels like the light on their bodies, specifically the dog and the little girl, is more pronounced than we're actually seeing in terms of the speckling around the set. And then lastly, well, two things. One, watch out for this hard edge circle here. I would just soften that a little bit, and then I would make the filaments brighter on those too. I think that because they are nice and white, but I would just kind of glow them, push the glow up a little bit and get the interior value just a bit brighter to make it feel like a light bulb that's turned on. Because again, in here and in here, in the dog and in the little girl, it gets lost a little bit. But all in all, it's looking really good. Simone. All right. So we got Simone and we got Yang left. Okay. So Simone, very cool stuff. Two things about this that I really want you to focus on. Number one, camera angle. It's a little high. Nothing wrong with that, but it's more of if you think about it as a live action film, now it's more of a crane shot versus from the perspective of somebody on the street. So just something to be aware of there, that you're going to have to work a little harder to really sell the scale of this. And we can get to that, but the biggest thing that I want you to work on is really finding some reference image to go from. And B, I really want you to push the bright values on this. So I was looking at some reference, and I was looking at Paris and Rome for just some daytime sunny reference. And one of the things, because looking at your image, I'm just not totally convinced that it's a bright daytime scene. I see that there's a lot of contrast between the light areas and the shadow areas, but I really want to see it something more, more convincing that it's daytime. And this is kind of a gross, this isn't the best simulation of this, but basically what I would want to see, and looking at this versus what we had, is I want to push those bright values brighter. I want to push the shadows up, and they've already got some nice coolness in there, and really play that up. And so, because what I'm seeing here is look at how we've got some overexposed areas. I think that's one of the big ones. So between this, little patches where the sun hits certain areas and just gets it just pushes right up against the edge of being too bright. And then there's also just some kind of haze, atmospheric stuff that plays up, especially in these. This one's a little cleaner, a little crisper, but you can play up the haze a little bit, especially if you're depending on the sun's location. I guess it's kind of over here, so you wouldn't get that too much. But basically, maybe just a little haze kind of coming in over the top of these buildings here. You should also watch out for the side of this building here, and that one's very tricky because there's nothing breaking it up, right? It's just a big flat wall. So you're either gonna have to put a light blocker or a gobo or something in there just to kind of create some variation. But that would be the two areas I'd really, the one area that I really want you to focus in on the next iteration is getting some sunlight reference or time of day reference to really push you to the next level. Two, start game planning how we're gonna like really get a good sense of scale. Like let's look at some aerial perspective and like how the way that fog kind of builds up into the city. And then and the last thing I should say too is like if like figuring out what our main focal point is if it's just like the overall city, if it's just creating a specific mood, or is it like, is there any reason why we would want to focus on this building at the end? So that's it for now, and I think that's a good spot for you. So all right, Yang, so this is in combination with your animated thing. So again, kind of looking at this Zootopia as reference, the Godfather-y scene. Okay, so let's hop over into yours here. Okay. So a few things that got me right off the bat was just like the overall grayness of this character. I think, you know, in comparison to this, like there is some warm light coming in here. And I think that we could simulate that a little bit more, and especially in the fill value. So he looks a little bit robotic. Number two, I don't know if you can change this at all, but like in this shot, like she looks nude, basically. I don't know if we can make her dress a little bit darker to stand out a little bit more from her skin tone. But a couple things about her lighting is that when she, like in a couple of these poses, like I would like for this area to get a little bit warmer and a little bit more filled in. Like this actually looks pretty good in here, but then there's a couple other poses where she hits. I mean, can you see there's a little bit of a contrast difference between, like she's in the exact same pose, but do you see how there's more like shadow up underneath her nose and some other areas? So I like this more filled in value. I do think we can go a little warmer on that. But yeah, and then in terms of, let's take a look back here. Yeah. I think cell phone here could use a little bit more shaping on it. It's just like, it's standing out because it's so dark as like a pretty solid block. Yeah, so just watch out for that. Let's keep our eye on him for a second. I think yeah. I do like the way that you're treating her hair, because that is a tough hairdo to mess around with, and I think that these specular highlights that you're getting across here work out really, really well. We should also have you teach a master class on how to talk to people about getting their animated shots, because you do a really great job of it. Oh, the other reason why I meant to say why we should play up the phone a little bit is that she does interact with it, like, and her hand's kind of dark and the phone's kind of dark, and you kind of miss that. So it'd be nice if one of these lights like rimmed up and got some more shaping on this. It could be like from the outside light, it could be from over here, but just highlighting that action a little bit more. And then watch out, and this is a tweaky thing down the road, make sure that her interior of her mouth doesn't get too super black and that her teeth are nice and clean. And then we can work on the rest from there. But this is a great first pass at this. I like you're building a structure that's really sound, and you're really in a good place. So that is it for today. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Like I said, keep on the lookout for, I'll post that survey both to Discord and Facebook. So be on the lookout for that. And if you have any questions, just let us know. All right. Happy lighting, everybody.